Welcome back to America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys Formula and America's Medicare Associates with Chaz Price, Scott Kerschner, and Troy Kerschner. Yes, of relation. 419-794-3030 is the phone number. 419-794-3030, online, arhq.com. It's not just about income when it comes to your retirement. Taxes, obviously, going to be a major factor as well. And President Biden is out with his proposed federal budget for 2024, and its tax proposals clearly take aim at Americans making more than $400,000 a year. This has kind of been his, not his hill to die on, but a kind of a cornerstone of his platform in general. Now, for those who aren't pulling down that size paycheck, what do you think? Is it still important that they meet with you guys when it comes to tax planning?
Absolutely, Chris. I think it's important that we talk about taxes in almost every single aspect of financial planning, whether it be retirement savings, wealth building, estate planning. I mean, there's an implication for tax in all of those. But this is interesting to me. It's kind of an area. It's kind of taxes are my bag, if you will. I don't want to have my clients have to pay more than what they absolutely have. So this has been an area that we've done a fair amount of study on. And so, yeah, the major premise here with President Biden's tax cuts are that it's primarily going to focus on, or at least that's what they want us to see, is that it's going to be on the uber wealthy, those making over $400,000. There are a couple of points here that I think it's just anecdotally or interesting to know. First of all, one of the proposals that President Biden has is to increase the corporate tax rate. He wants to take it from currently 21, that was part of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that President Trump signed in, up to 28. They're also proposing that corporations pay a minimum of book income tax, which is 15% currently. So that, I mean, we've seen over and over again where large corporations, where Elon Musk and these guys pay very little tax, if at all any, but their corporation makes billions of dollars, and so he wants to eliminate that. And then also increasing, again, that $400,000 earnings cap from 37% to 39.6%, which seems like a lot. This 40% is what's going up. But one of the other, and I guess this is the biggest tax planning consideration for those that are not uber wealthy, is the reinstatement of the estate tax. And so currently, the current estate tax exemption, the amount of money that a person can leave during their life or at their death to any person and not have to pay an estate tax. Estate tax is different than income or Ohio state tax or Michigan tax. This is something that you pay at the end of your life or throughout your lifetime in the form of gifts. The exemption is currently set at $11.7 million. If President Biden's tax proposals go through and are approved, it could roll back that estate exemption from $11.7 to $3.5 million of an exemption. So by reducing the exemption amount, the amount of money that a person can pass to another individual or on to the next generation, it essentially is a tax increase. It's just not, it's not called that, but it is a tax increase because people that maybe didn't have $11 million before that are expected to have $3.5 million at their death. So it doesn't mean you have to have $3.5 million now, but if those assets double every 7 to 10 years, you can kind of do the math to see, am I going to fall on that tax threshold? So if it's at $3.5 million, the estate tax rate also is proposed to go from 40% to 45%. So, that's a pretty significant impact for a baby boomer.
Yeah, and you don't necessarily have to be making $400,000 to recognize that tax.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
That's how they get around it. And it's a tremendous amount of money because of the baby boomer generation. Anybody that's been born between 1946 and 1964, it's a huge demographic, and so that means there's as those individuals are retiring at alarming rates, at some point they're going to be passing a tremendous amount of wealth on to the next generation, and that could just mean that it's going to be a significant tax that the government is going to glean.
Troy's over here shaking his head, hoping that that's the case, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Because that is me. I'm at the tail end of the baby boomers, but you're right. Like I said, you don't have to be making $400,000 to recognize over $3 or $4 million estate.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's that's a huge increase in taxes.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's going to be bore a lot on, again, the baby boomer generation, because they've accumulated a significant amount of wealth, and so that's one of the areas where I think we could definitely help our listeners plan. Is in the estate tax and some of these tax situations that might not apply today, but are expected to apply in the future. And so if you have an opportunity, you can go out to our website, check out our calendar of events that we have coming up. In all of our presentations, typically, whether it be the 5 threats to retirement, or some of our university classes, we generally will talk about the estate planning process. We're not attorneys, right? So we don't give legal or tax advice, but we're on top of this stuff, and as we should be. And so we're in a position to help you structure a spend down plan or a gifting strategy that, if we estimate you're going to get hit with a 40% tax, maybe it makes sense to pay 10 or 15 today and get some of this money into the hands of the younger generation, like a Troy, or younger folks that I've heard people say it's more fun to see them enjoy the money while I'm living versus giving it away. And so also through a little bit more sophisticated and complex trusts and irrevocable, planning activities where we can set aside some money ultimately for your care or your family's care, but have it be protected from taxes. So there's just a lot of things.
Well, and that also, you work a lot with people with RMDs, right? Mm-hmm. Required minimum distributions. And I know in a previous show, and all of our previous shows are actually out there for your view on, all of the different social media outlets that are out there. But, you can avoid taxes. And in fact, I'm actually working with that with an account that we set up for my mother. She's in a position right now where she has to start taking some RMDs and doing those contributions to churches or any other organization like that. You can avoid some of that tax as well. If any of you out there are listening, if you're like me, this time of year is probably the most stressful time in my life. I don't know why. I just get really worked up about taxes. I know none of us like to pay taxes at all, but if you need help, or if there's anything that we can do here to help maybe put off some of those taxes, or lower, like Chaz says, lower some of that tax that you have. We work with the health insurance, and you and Nolan and the team over there doing the investments. We work on getting your reportable taxable income lower, so I can help out with getting some health insurance put in place and taking advantage of some of the premium tax credits out there that are available. So if this is of interest to anybody out there listening and you think that we can help you, please reach out. And like Chaz says, this is his bag. He enjoys this stuff, and not sure why, but we all enjoy what we do.
Yeah.
There is a significant difference between tax avoidance or tax mitigation and tax evasion. The simplest definition, one of them is going to land you in jail. That's tax evasion. That's not what we're talking about here on the show. We're talking about making sure that you pay what you are obligated to pay, but not a penny more. And the government is very clever about having taxes out there that aren't explicitly labeled as such. The elimination of the stretch IRA, for example, with Secure Act 1.0. There's a lot of different ways out there, and what you don't know could end up costing you and your beneficiaries hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more than that. And so having that strategy in place is all part of a proper retirement plan. The team at America's Retirement Headquarters, they can help you with that. Just give a call, get on their calendar, 419-794-3030. That's the number. Once again, 419-794-3030. You heard Chaz mention the events that they teach throughout the region all year. Honestly, you can find one that suits you, and they'd love to have you out there. Just go to the website, click on the events tab, arhq.com.